you. So we're going to start the questions with Sandi. And Sandi, so we've talked a lot in this series about how important and helpful it is to work with a knowledgeable and a local senior living advisor when you are thinking about the concept of exploring senior living, and to never do something online such as signing up for a place for mom. Those places are nothing more than information clearinghouses, and it's so important to have somebody with local knowledge. So can you start by just giving us a bit of background on CarePatrol and a general overview of the services that you provide?
So CarePatrol has been around for 30 years. We're a nationwide company, and we have been in the Grand Rapids area for over 10 years now. So we help families find assisted living, independent living, memory care, and in-home care. And it's a very hands-on service. We have some other companies in the area that work a lot like us that are very much hands-on. One of them, Assisted Living Locators. Hi, Tom.
Tom's around here somewhere.
And but the thing about us and Tom's group is that we take the time to learn about what the specific needs are for the families. And what we find, we're really sad when people have signed up online with A Place for Mom or caring.com, because what we're finding is they will send a mass email out to a lot of different organizations in the area that they're contracted with, and then you'll start to get phone calls from them. And what we want to do is we want to minimize stress. So like, we'll handle all that for you. So just kind of be careful when you're going online. A Place for Mom tends to come up. If you search for Porter Hills, you might get A Place for Mom coming up. Or if you search for Freedom Village, you might get A Place for Mom coming up top on the list. And then you get on their list. So, and it can be tricky to get off. So.
That's entirely true. So I would just always say, use the resources of a local professional, and you reach out and make that call and allow them to make those introductions, because it can be just a world of difference in the level of knowledge and personal service that you're going to get. So we know that there's a huge range of senior living options here in West Michigan. And walk us through how you would work with a new client to begin to help them narrow down all the things that would fit them from the sea of options that there are.
So what we do when we get a new client, referral, senior, we take the time to learn about this person. We want to know what their physical needs are, what their health issues are, what their likes and dislikes are, what area of the town, or do they want to be out in the country, where they would like to be. And we also look at the financial piece of it. As Laura mentioned, the finances is always going to be a big topic. So we look at all this, and then based on that, we can make recommendations. And it may be in-home care, it may be assisted living, maybe it's independent living with a little bit of care on top of that. It might be skilled nursing. You just never know until you start asking those questions. So we really want to learn about what the needs are and what your situation is. Once we decide what's going on, we'll make introductions. Maybe it's for an in-home care company, but maybe we'll go out on tours. And we'll make those appointments for us, and we'll accompany you on those tours. So we make sure that you get your questions asked and answered, and we may point out amenities that are important to you, because maybe somebody likes to garden, and well, we're going to point out the raised gardens so you're able to still have that in your life. One other thing we do is we point you in the right direction for people like Laura. If you need to sell your home and break down your home, if you need financial planning, if you need a lawyer, if you need a mover, we're going to help you with those resources, as well as with the VA aid in attendance pension or Medicaid waiver assistance.
I feel like so much of this process is this idea of we don't know what we don't know. And as much as I've been doing this now for about 8 years, going to tons of presentations myself and learning opportunities, I am consistently learning more every single day about things that I didn't know, resources that I didn't know were out there, people who are able to provide things that are up and coming that we haven't seen in the past. So this idea of having somebody who's super knowledgeable that can simply help you ask the right questions that you may not have thought of on your own is really, really huge. So, Sandi, today's talk is specifically to help our audience better understand the complex option of a continuing care community. And can you tell us how you would describe this option to a client in comparison with other options that are out there?
Okay, so continuing care retirement community, can we just call them CCRCs and we can save a lot of time? You good with that? Yeah. Okay, so the beauty of a CCRC is that you've got independent living, assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing all on one campus. And what we'll tell our folks is that basically you know what your next step is going to be. Perhaps you're going to move in as an independent person, but once you start needing care, you've got the options to go through that continuum, and I think that's really important for people to know. One of the things that Laura mentioned too is about an entrance fee. A lot of the CCRCs have a large entrance fee. I told the people at Samaritas that I'd put in a plug for them. They don't have a large entrance fee, but they still have the continuum. But that's the beauty of Grand Rapids or this area. I really do think that we've got all kinds of options for all kinds of people at all different price points. So financially, maybe one place doesn't work, but maybe another place will. So those are kind of the things that we mentioned to our seniors. The other thing is that whole idea of you know where you're going, and generally, if you're accepted into a CCRC, if you run out of money, now you can't be gambling your money away or giving it away, but they'll keep you if you run out of your finances or run out of the assets.
Yeah, I feel like one of the most important aspects is simply the level of comfort knowing that you're not going to be asked to leave. You know, that is a huge, huge thing, that it simply provides this guarantee that they will help you navigate the next step and that you will never be turned away, which is, you know, critical to peace, basically. So based on the clients that you've worked with, do you feel there are certain types of clients or certain situations that are an ideal fit for a life care community? And if so, what are those?
So my college roommate's mother was my perfect client for a CCRC. Her husband had passed. She was still independent, living in her big condo. She wasn't comfortable driving downtown to her women's club anymore, but she was very social. She loved to cook and bake, and she wanted to make a decision, not her kids. She didn't trust her kids, I don't think. I know. But she was fabulous because she was independent enough that we could go around and look at the various places, and she was able to talk to people and find out about their amenities and make sure that she could get the type of apartment that she wanted. probably about 3 years ago, she moved into a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment, and she's been very, very happy. Even though she loves to cook and bake, she still gets to go down and have dinner with her fellow residents, and she's got opportunities to socialize. She's been great. And the other great thing about her is she had a bunch of friends kind of in the same situation. One of the other types of people that I think work well was one of her friends. She was married. Her husband was needing quite a bit of care. The wife was very independent. So they were able to move into a CCRC, she in independent living, and he was in assisted living. And instead of having to run across town to go visit him, she could walk down the hall and visit. So I think those are two really good options, or two different types of people that work really well in a CCRC.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent example, that idea of so often we have couples that are simply in a different spot health-wise and needing different levels of care. And one of the most stressful things that I see, and I'm sure anyone who in this room that works with seniors on a regular basis, is that idea of how stressful it is to the one who is giving care to the other, and it really does compromise, their ability to enjoy life as well. So I think this can be a great answer to that. Now, there are multiple communities that offer the full spectrum of care on one campus without requiring a buy-in, such as Samaritas would be a great example. So long as people still have funds. That is always a catch. So how often have you ever had to help someone move from a community that did not have a guarantee of care simply because their finances, their financial situation required them to find a lesser expensive option?
If you work with CarePatrol or assisted living locators or one of the local placement agencies, generally that doesn't happen because we look at the financial part of it. So I just wanted to put that plug in. But yeah, there are situations where we have had to move people. It's interesting because when people move into assisted living, they tend to do a little bit better because they're getting their meds, they're getting their meals, they're social, and so sometimes they live longer and they do outlive their funds. So it's entirely possible that someone may have to move from their current community someplace else. There are some other supports like Medicaid waiver that can help a person stay in a community if someone runs out of assets. There are other stipulations that we won't go into, but so that's a possibility. There are a couple other places that would not be considered CCRCs that have benevolence funds like the CCRCs do that can help people stay. Sometimes management, if you're a longtime resident, they may just work with the family to make sure that you can stay, but it's never a guarantee. So it's always a possibility, but we try to, hopefully we can plan so it's not something that has to happen.
I think the biggest part of that is that idea too of never making this decision without pulling in people that you trust, whether it's other family members, the professionals in terms of a financial advisor, to just really help you do that math so that you're never put in a situation where you have to make a decision that you never wanted to make. So I think that is very, very important. And once again, the local experts and certainly everyone that I've worked with are very, very detail oriented and are going to cover that piece in detail prior to you making a decision. So what thoughts and recommendations do you have for families that are considering a CCRC, and really anything else that you'd like to share that we didn't cover.
It's kind of fun because there are always myths concerning CCRCs. They're going to take my house. They don't want your house. No, we don't. No, they don't want your house. They won't take it. The other thing is, I'm going to pay $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, and if I die or hate it or move out, whatever, I'm going to lose all that money. And that also is a myth. They can only take 1.5% per month, and there are options for having money. There's lots of options. So that would be the other thing I would say. Figure out what your different options are, because everybody has something a little bit different, and you're going to want to talk to your financial advisor. You're going to want to visit the community multiple times. You're going to want to have a meal. You're going to want to make sure you understand the amenities. You're going to want to speak to people in the CCRC. You are making a big decision, and so you are going to want to make sure that you're making the right decision. But the good news is, it isn't like, okay, if I make this decision, I'm stuck with this for the rest of my life. It doesn't have to be that way. So just in general, make sure that you do your homework and make sure that you're going to a place that fits your lifestyle.
Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, think about it. We all need a place to live. And yes, the buy-in may sound expensive. Houses are expensive. And a lot of times the people who I talk with that think they could never possibly afford a buy-in or even afford to move out of their house for any type of senior living are really, really surprised when we sit down and go over the numbers and they can see how much they would actually get from the sale of their home and so forth. So there generally are a lot of different options.